my name is Quincy Dunn and I'm an amateur dog groomer. I'm here today to tell you why you need to be grooming your dogs. Um, Dogs are like our best friends, they're part of our family, at least for me, so it's very important that we're looking after their health and well-being, and part of that is making sure that they're getting groomed regularly to make sure they're nice and healthy. So today I'm going to tell you about the shedding, matting, and also how grooming will change as your dog ages. Um, So shedding happens for all types of dogs. It just depends on the fur length, how severe the shedding will be in the breed. With shorter fur, there will still be some shedding, but the majority of major shedding happens with longer fur, dogs with longer fur, and double-coated dogs when they have an undercoat. And so it's very important that you're brushing your dogs in order to help them shed, because it will help remove some of the dirt that gets trapped in that loose fur, as well as dander and other skin oils and stuff. So once you're able to remove that shedding, fur allows their skin to breathe and can also help prevent some matting. So with shorter fur, dogs with shorter fur, you want to use a soft rubber or silicone brush that will help loosen up the short fur and have it kind of fall off more naturally, and help let the skin breathe and get some of the extra dirt and dander off as well. As you start getting dogs with more longer or medium fur, you can use a slicker brush. These aren't recommended for short fur dogs generally, because the fur is so close to the skin, you don't want to be like scratching the skin at the same time. But when you get longer fur, that's usually not an issue. They do also have ones with like rubber caps on the ends of those bristles if you are worried about your dog having sensitive skin or getting irritated by these brushes. For dogs with undercoats and a lot of more severe shedding, I would recommend an undercoat rake that allows you to get, instead of just brushing on the surface of the fur, to get under into the double coat and the undercoat, and help remove a lot of that more severe shedding. When shedding isn't taken care of properly, it can often result in matting. So normally, if you just have like a little bit of tangling happening in your dog's coat, you can brush it out pretty easily, but when that goes untreated, it will create mats. So this is what it would look like in a curly hair dog, like a doodle or a poodle. You can see there's like a less visible curl pattern, and it looks very tight and like stuck almost. And then also in more straight hair dogs like German Shepherds, this is what it would appear as, is like more like tufts. And mats generally occur from a lot of friction, as well as introduction of dirt from either outside or from your dog's like shedding skin and oils. But the friction will make these mats like tighter and tighter, and they'll kind of like Velcro together and they get really tight on the skin, which is why it's important to shave them out rather than cutting them out, because when they are very tight to the skin like that, if you try and cut it out, there's a possibility that you could nick your dog, and that could be really detrimental, especially depending on where that is on their body. If it's close to their neck or any other vital arteries, that could be very severe for them or could cause an infection. But usually when there's just small like tangles, they can be brushed out pretty easily. But there's also cases way less severe than this, where a dog could get just little mats behind the ear where they're getting scratched a lot, or under their armpits, or along their feet where their feet are touching the ground a lot. Anywhere where there's a lot of friction, and those can be shaved out pretty easily and not be as severe as this. Ways you can prevent this, though, is just by regularly brushing your dog and getting those tangles out before they get to this state where they're very tight and close to the skin. Also just bathing them to make sure they're like able to get rid of any excess dander and oil and dirt from outside is very helpful. In addition to trimming areas like feet, maybe that are contact with the ground more often, or are you noticing have mats more frequently? And as your dog ages, mattings may start to become more severe, especially for longer coated dogs, just because they're not able to be as mobile, or they're not able to kind of take care of themselves of like running around and like having their fur shed off naturally. They're usually laying down a lot, which creates a lot of friction on wherever their arms are laying. In addition to their feet, and as they get older, they also develop more skin issues like dry skin and yeast infections, which can also create more dirt for them as they are going about their lives, creating more matting. In addition, their toenails get very long because they're not as active and they're not being worn down as naturally. So that's another reason why it's important to make sure you're taking your older dogs into grooming facilities as well. It's also very important for any stage to take in your dog, and starting very young is often recommended. That way they can get exposed to grooming before it's something like extreme matting or old dogs with long toenails where they really like need it. It's important to get them exposed to and used to having their fur be touched and having water on it as they're getting bathed, as well as being brushed and working through tangles or trimming out any matting, like small matting that occurs. In addition, some of the tools that are used can be kind of loud, so it's important to get them exposed to those different sounds as they're growing up. And even if you just adopted a dog and they're not a puppy anymore, getting them exposed and used to those sounds and sensations like getting haircuts and stuff is very important, so they're not fearful of that as they get older or just in general. Because a lot of times when dogs are afraid, they'll kind of get more aggressive and may end up biting people, even though they're not necessarily mad, they're just scared. So that's why it's important to expose them so they're not biting you or whoever's grooming them. But now that you know a bit more about dogs and their grooming requirements, I hope that you will either take them out to a groomer, like a professional groomer, or a house groomer is what I do, which may be more less expensive and more affordable. But if you're also not able to afford that, you can also look into buying your own equipment and trying to groom your dogs at home, and just making sure that you're taking care of them to the best ability, so that way they can live long and happy lives. Thank you.